Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Allie Anderson, and I'm an assistant professor here at CU Boulder in the Aerospace Engineering Department. And my research focuses on spacesuit design, on physiological adaptations for the human body in space. And I'm a sophomore year professor. I'd like to check it out. I'm about to finish my second year.
Shankini Duraisingam. I'm an alum of aerospace engineering here at CU, and I actually work for Bioserve Space Technologies at CU, and I'm the operations lead. We fly biological experiments to the space station.
My name is Antonia Uhas, and I'm an oil and energy analyst, author, and investigative journalist. You saw me a lot in that episode, so I think you know what my role is in the episode. What you may not know is our title is Big Thinker, so I'm a big thinker, which is fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your questions.
My name is Evan Hall. I play Chef Master in the show, glorified bus driver on Mars. I'm an actor, and I live in New York.
Yeah, go ahead. Hi, I'm Charles Lindgren. I am a graduate of the CU School of Medicine. Currently an active astronaut at Johnson Space Center. I flew and served 141 days on the International Space Station in 2015. I was part of the one-year mission with Scott Kelly, and excited to be a part of this.
I'm Stephen Petranek. I wrote the book this whole thing is based on, called How We'll Live on Mars. Bobby and I share driving the writers and the producers of the show crazy with how the universe actually works instead of how they hope it works. And I'm a big thinker.
And I'm Samuel TV. I play Engineer Robert Foucault on Mars. And I'm an actor, live in LA. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I hope you enjoy the show.
So let's start the questions. If you don't mind, I'm going to just kick it off with one question to each person, and then we'll go to some Q&A from the audience. So let's start with you, Stephen, Mr. Big Thinker and creator of the book How We'll Live on Mars.
I keep him honest.
You do. You do.
Keeps me honest.
And we have a number of really interesting discussions. So the question I have for you is, and we saw some of it here in this episode, of all the major challenges that you think humanity will have when we get to Mars soon, what do you think are the biggest challenges that humanity will face? And maybe you could point to a couple in the various episodes.
Wow, that's a hard question because there are so many. First of all, I think we've had the technical capability to do this for decades, and NASA has not, for example, had the money to actually do this, even if they wanted to do it. So I don't think the technology is the big problem. I think we actually know how to do this, but I do have a lot of concerns about how Mars is going to be treated in the future, whether it's going to be treated as a scientific park, which is probably not very realistic, whether it's going to be treated in the dramatic fashion that you see in the series, where commercialization takes over. I think it's worth pointing out, for example, that humans going to Mars right now is being driven by a commercial company, SpaceX, which has as its mission statement only one thing, which is to create a sustainable civilization on Mars. It's not being driven by governments. NASA really doesn't have very concrete plans for going to Mars. They're developing some serious plans for going to the moon. The Russian space program says it's going to Mars. The Chinese space program says it's going to Mars. But there's from Jeff Bezos to a bunch of other billionaires, space is becoming a really big business really fast. And so a lot of what you do see in this series, I think is an interesting warning sign and a red flag about whether or not we want governments directing our adventures in space or exploration, or whether we want commercial interests directing that, and just where that line is going to be. So I'm not too worried about the psychological aspects of going to Mars. I'm not too worried about, the radiation dangers, how you develop a breathable system within the modules on Mars, where you live on Mars, etc. But I do think there's a lot to be concerned with about what is really a Wild West that has no laws, no police, and no understanding among 190 nations on Earth about how it will be treated. One of the things we don't talk about very much in the series, but is really interesting, is how we've treated Antarctica. It's a scientific park. Nobody owns any part of it. Nobody's allowed to drill for oil there, for example. And it's a wonderful model, but I don't know if it's going to be extendable to Mars.